Bitcoin ETFs brought a tsunami of interest into crypto, says Dana, whatever. Yeah, InvestNets. Is that what that is? InvestNets? Dana. I'm not even going to try to say the last name. Anyways, let's see what she says over here. Let's do it.
With our panel, joining us now is Dana Diario of InvestNet and Tracy McMillian of Wells Fargo. Happy Friday to both of you. Dana, so we got another round of inflation data coming next week after what was a pretty tame jobs report, I guess. Small caps have been pretty sensitive to the higher for longer narrative. Do you see anything changing?
Well, I think it really is going to turn on whether we see this rate cut obviously coming in June. So small caps, as we all know, are more interest rate sensitive. It's interesting because growth is more interest rate sensitive, right? And growth hasn't suffered at all, obviously, in this rally, even though it's longer dated cash flows that have to be discounted back at a higher rate. But we have seen small caps suffer and certainly be very interest rate sensitive through the course of this rally and all through last year, and largely because they're not as easily self-funding, right? They need to go to capital markets more often. You have corporate teams that are now all of a sudden facing much higher rates than they had to in the past. So not surprising at all. I think the big question is, do we get this cut in June? And, you know, do we indeed stick the landing? I think, you know, all signs seem to point there, but I don't know that I think it's guaranteed.
Okay.
Well, I mean, in the whole conversation with the internet bubble thing, right? Microsoft, Amazon, eBay, Qualcomm, whatever that is, and Cisco, right? They're the biggest. So apparently those are the biggest internet stocks that exploded and survived the, you know, internet boom. And I mean, it's no different than looking at like Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these big cryptos that are in the top 10 right now. Like, how many of those are going to survive? It could be quadruple the amount of coins, right? We don't know. We don't know how crazy it's going to get, but the end of the day, things are going to ride up, and yeah, there's going to be projects that fail, but that doesn't mean there isn't going to be ones that last. You know what I mean?
And Tracy, you say go to quality, don't take on too much risk, don't jump into small caps yet. But if the economy is generally healthy, which the data today would suggest, isn't this a time when the right small caps with the right stories could actually outperform?
Real quick, Panera Card said 90% of people in here are planning to dump. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to take, so it's not that we're just planning to dump, but you guys got to take, you know, you got to have a purpose. Like, why are you into this, right? You're not into this just to keep your money sitting on the sidelines and die and leave it there, right? I mean, unless that's your goal, then whatever. But I have a goal to freaking be financially free. When I get to that point of paying off my house, guess what? I'm selling this shit. I don't care where it is. Doesn't matter to me. And then I'll buy back in later. Like, it's a, you know what I mean? Simple as that. Just take the gains of where you can get them, put it towards something good in your life, and you know, hopefully you met your goal. It's pretty much what you got to do.
Yeah, so we've been favorable large caps for quite some time, and we're actually looking for an opportunity to move into small caps, to move into some of those riskier areas of the market. You know, it seemed like maybe late last year might have been offering up some of that that opportunity, and you know, more lately we've also seen small caps just starting to outperform large caps. But
real quick, so like that's one of those things like where, you know, like I said, you have to have a goal. You guys should be right now, what you all should be doing right before Bitcoin goes any higher or your portfolio goes any higher, you guys should sit down with yourself or your significant other or whoever you give a shit about and just write your goals down, man. Get the number of or the amount of money that you need to like be where you want to be, and that's your hard sell point, and you need to like make sure you stick to it. I know it's hard, it's easier said than done, but you guys gotta like try, you know what I mean? You gotta try to stick to that number. Fully Electric said 100% swap into stable coins and buy back in low, and you can do that. Yeah, absolutely. It's just stable coins to a point. Like, you gotta, you know, who knows what's going to happen with those. I hope they last forever, but who knows? I don't know. We've just seen so much bullshit lately with banks and institutions, all this stuff. Like, I don't know, all these, the government is just trying to control everything. So I don't know what's going to happen with stable coins. I hope it works out fine and they stay where they're at, but who knows? Just get a goal and stick to it. That's the biggest like piece of advice I can give you.
What we want to see is more evidence that we are closer to the start of a cycle and not the end of a cycle. Because,
and that was a perfect point you just made. we're closer to a start of a cycle than the end of a cycle. So we still have a lot more to go.
Small caps do tend to outperform at the start of a cycle. So,
and even though they're talking about stocks right here, that goes for everything, crypto included.
We want to see things like growth continuing to expand, breadth continuing to expand, interest rates moving lower from here. And if any of those three fail, then we're probably not going to see a continuation of the outperformance of smalls just yet.
Okay. Dana, it's not. I realize stocks took a breather today. Most of the major averages are lower on the week now. But in general, we've been at such a torrid pace for the S&P, hitting record high after record high. It's not the only asset class, though, that's been doing that. We've also seen record highs in gold, and this week, record highs in Bitcoin. What does it say about diversification, and what does it say about whether you should be putting something like Bitcoin in your portfolio?
It's an odd barbell market, right? I think, it's very interesting what you're raising. And, coming from an Envestnet, a platform with a lot of retail investors, obviously, I have to point to the advent of ETFs. I mean, the decision by the SEC to enable spot Bitcoin ETFs is just going to be huge. And you're going to continue to see a tsunami of interest because now you have a liquid, easily available way to earn a Bitcoin return, and it's backed by major asset managers. So folks who weren't ready to dabble in the actual currency are now going to say, okay, here's my opportunity to get a little piece of this. And it has a lotto ticket-like aspect to it, right? So there's great research out there talking about the fact that even normal risk aversion in investors allows for some position in the portfolio in Bitcoin simply because it can only go to zero. And the skew on it is so high that, it has this opportunity to pay off dramatically. So I expect to see that continue for sure.